Okay, we're going to look at example 2 for using the quadratic formula. First thing we want to do is identify again what a, b, and c are. Looking at my equation, I have x squared plus 3x minus 35 equals 0. I know that b is going to be 3, that's in front of the x, and that c is negative 35. But what is a? So that is a big question. What is a? Well, a, again, is the number in front of x squared, which we don't see a number there, but we have to remember there's always an invisible 1. So we're going to make a the number 1. So we have 1 for a, 3 for b, and negative 35 for c. Now we're going to plug these into our quadratic formula. Having that handy to look at is extremely helpful. So again, it's negative b plus or minus, all under the square root, b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a. So we start off with negative b. b is 3, so negative b plus or minus, big giant square root, b squared, so 3 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 35, all over 2 times a, so 2 times 1. Okay, so we're going to simplify this. I'm going to take the portion that's underneath the square root and try to simplify that. So I have 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 35. And you can type that just all into the calculator. You don't have to simplify it out individually. You can type this entire thing into the calculator. Make sure you use those parentheses as I did when you type it into the calculator. When we do that, we get 149. So inside of my parentheses, we get 149. Everything else, we still have negative 3 at the beginning, and then 2 times 1 is just 2 on the bottom. Now we're going to check to see if 149 is a perfect square. Sorry, check if 149 is perfect square by taking the square root and when I take the square root, it's going to give me decimals. So I don't really want to write those decimals down or use those decimals just yet. Yes, that's going to give me like 12.20655 and a bunch of other decimals. So if I get decimals for that square root, I'm going to wait until I get to my final, go to calculate my final answer. So I'm going to leave it as root 449 in what I have written down because I don't want to have to deal with writing those decimals all the way down until the very last second of my problem. So we have negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 149 divided by 2. Now again, we are going to take that plus or minus and split it once into addition and once into subtraction. So when you go to type this into your calculator, you're going to enter it twice, once with addition, once with subtraction. So we have negative 3 plus the square root of 149 over 2, and then negative 3 minus the square root of 149 over 2. And I'm going to type each one of these into my calculator to see what I get. And I'm going to make a note here. We are going to round to nearest tenths. To the nearest tenths, that's 1 decimal. So I'm going to type this into my calculator. -3 plus the square root of 149 divided by 2. And that gives me 4.6032. And it's a nice long decimal. All I'm really concerned about is rounding that to the nearest tenth, so 1 decimal place. So for this x, we have 4.6. And then I'm going to type it into my calculator again, but this time I'm going to do subtraction. -3 minus the square root of 149, and then divide by 2. And we will get a negative number this time, and that's okay. You can have negatives. We get -7.6032 and some change. Again, a long decimal. I'm only really worried about the first decimal place, and so this gives us -7.6. So for my final answer, x is equal to 4.6 and -7.6.